In the last few decades there have been countless amounts of discoveries, some of which have given us an insight into our past. However, some of these discoveries are found in the most unlikely places, making researchers question how they ended up there in the first place. Dorset is a beautiful county in the southwest of England, known for its cliffs that every year throws out many ancient fossils. The Jurassic Coast is one of the most famous that can be found in Dorset, and every year hundreds of thousands of people visit this region in the hopes of uncovering an ancient relic. While in Dorset, a team of archaeologists uncovered something eerie while excavating some land. This was in preparation for a road. To be specific, it was in the month of June 2009 when the archaeologists discovered a grave. Further research showed them that the grave was of different people, and they'd been laid to rest in this one spot. Skeletons and skulls were found in separate graves, which suggested that the people passed away without their heads. They were beheaded before buried. The counting of the skeletons revealed the number to be 54 while the skulls were 51. Seeing these people in such a manner within an abandoned quarry brought many questions to the mind, and was also quite distressing to think how they got in this situation. The archaeologists then tried to figure out why these people were laid to rest here, and what their final moments would have been like. This discovery, although grim in some people's eyes, brought a series of scientific findings from researchers, scientists and archaeologists. Their findings revealed the skulls belonged to Vikings from Northern Europe. It's theorized by the team that these individuals would have likely travelled from Norway, Denmark and Sweden, most likely in the hopes of wanting a better life for themselves and their families. We've heard of the stories of Vikings being tough and raiding other nations' coasts, but what some may not be aware of is most of them brought families to Britain looking for land to farm. Good farmland couldn't be found in their own countries. The parts of Britain where most Vikings settled were northern Scotland and eastern England. When people picture the Vikings, we usually imagine them as giant men hurling around anything they can get their hands on, but recent discoveries may disprove this. After finding out who the people were, the team's next goal was to find out why they were here, and what their reason was for passing away. However, after some tests were conducted, the researchers struggled to come to a definitive answer. They were able to put the date of their passing between the 5th and 6th century. If this is right, this would mean the individuals were around during the Middle Ages. The people found in the grave were all men between the ages of 20 and 25 years old, and only a few out of the 55 skeletons were believed to be in their 30s and above. A critical look at the skeletons and skulls by scientists revealed no torture or wounds, apart from the wound at the spot between the skull and neck, which was believed to have occurred when they were being executed. Interestingly, this has given researchers another look into the Viking life, with some saying that not all of them were military men. Rather, they may have been captured from their homes or during a conflict. History has a record of a conflict between Anglo-Saxons and Viking invaders, and we might assume these dismembered humans were the product of such conflict. Another finding of the mass grave is that no clothes were sighted at the spot. We can therefore imagine that these people were stripped of all their clothing before they met their final fate. Another interesting discovery is that of St. Mary's Chapel prison witches. A Christian church built solely for worship had taken the law into its own hands, and started to imprison people. A church was built in the outskirts of Aberdeen in the 15th century, and the main reason for the building was to provide a place for worship for Catholic men and women at the time. Inside the church was a chapel that housed Catholic women who needed a quiet place to worship. The chapel also served as a place for meditation for these Catholic women, as the place was peaceful and quiet. This practice continued in the church for many years, up until people of a different faith dominated the church. At that moment, many rules started to be implemented, and the place as a whole changed. The church named St. Nicholas became a Protestant church, and the once peaceful St. Mary's Chapel became a shadow of itself. Towards the end of the 16th century, the chapel had been turned into a prison for suspected witches. The chapel was constructed in a way that it looked like a court of law. Inside this chapel, suspected witches were turned to prisoners. They were chained to a wall without given the benefit of a trial, and executed if found guilty by a non-governmental rule of law. A visit to the chapel now would reveal a long iron rod embedded into the wall. History has it the 2-inch iron rods were used in holding the prisoners, having their hands tied together with a chain, which some researchers have said would have been painful. In the year 1597, the story of the popular Scottish hunt revealed that most people executed for witchcraft inside the St Mary's Chapel were women, the figures being 23 women and a single man. The next question was, were these people executed inside the church? Findings revealed the prisoners would be taken away from the chapel and taken to an unknown place as their fate would be covered with a blindfold. They would be executed at this unknown location and then placed inside a nearby pit. This act was what the chapel was known for amongst the locals in the city of Aberdeen. The man who was the only male killed for witchcraft in the chapel was believed to be suffering from mental illness. The reason has been that he was convicted through his words and not his actions. The man claimed he was controlling Satan with just 2 words, and he also claimed to be having an affair with the Queen of Elves. All of these were not proven to be fact, but he was still convicted for witchcraft. Apart from the man, there's beliefs that the majority of the women that were convicted in the chapel for witchcraft were innocent. The chapel was convicting and executing prisoners based on hearsay, emotional thought and what the judges felt was right or wrong. People in the city were lying against anybody they had grudges with, just so they could witness the person being convicted for witchcraft. Sadly, during these times many wouldn't have had much of a choice as to their fate, as even a stumble of wording could have caused those around you to think you was a witch, or practicing witchcraft. As of today, it's believed by many researchers that the majority of witch cases were false. Although some did practice witchcraft, a very high percentage of them were innocent people who were tried for crimes they never committed, or placed on trial because someone didn't like them. Many innocent lives were lost during the witch trials, and unfortunately it's just another point in history where a large amount of humans were carrying out evil acts. Another interesting discovery is that of the medieval skeleton entangled in tree roots. There was an old big tree in Stiglo County, one of the counties in Ireland. Winters in Ireland usually come with big storms, and during one of these storms a large 250-year-old tree fell to the ground. Although this is normal, what isn't normal is what the researchers found at the scene. Inside the tree roots was that of a skeleton, and immediately a team was brought in to try and unravel the mystery. By measuring the amount of radiocarbon, the scientists were able to say the bones were that of a male, and that he would have been buried around the age of 17 or 20 years old. The archaeologists have found who the person is. Next is to find when and why. The 17 to 20-year-old boy was believed to have been alive between 1030 AD and 1200 AD, which means he passed away during medieval times. Further research revealed the boy must have passed away while in pain, as there were signs of knife-inflicted injuries on the hands and ribs. The body was buried under the tree, but the roots had entangled with the upper part of the body. The researchers then said as the tree was blown over it caused the bones to be pulled up with it. So what do you make of these discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.